And thank you for joining us tonight as we roll out our new district strategic plan for the Newark Public Schools and have an open discussion and Q&A about your child's education in focus. Ms. Kathy Duke Jackson.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our Superintendent, Dr. Janey, Ms. White, Councilman Ramos, our invited guests, special guests, Channel 9 News anchor, Ms. Brenda Blackmon, parents, and invited guests. We really appreciate you being here tonight. It is our distinct pleasure at First Avenue to have you here as we roll out the new strategic plan.
North Ward Councilman Mr. Aníbal Ramos. As a young leader, Aníbal has a distinguished career in public service. His innovative leadership style and team approach to management have earned him positive results and recognition. First Avenue, please welcome your North Ward Councilman, Aníbal Ramos Jr.
Always a pleasure to visit First Avenue School. I want to thank your wonderful principal, the teachers, the other administrators here for always making me feel at home at First Avenue. I got to tell you that I'm very proud to consider myself a partner along with Ms. Jackson, and I know she's doing some wonderful things here at First Avenue, helping us bring this school to the next level. And in just a short period of time, I got to tell you that she's really distinguished herself as an excellent administrator and someone that I'm very, very proud to support in any way that I can. So to Ms. Jackson, let's give her a nice round of applause. She does a great job here at First Avenue School. And, you know, again, this is our second year hosting this event, this forum, and I'm very grateful to Dr. Janey, our superintendent, for agreeing to be here. And he's always a very willing partner and someone who loves the opportunity to come out, greet our parents, talk to them a little bit about his vision for the district, and also have an opportunity to hear from you regarding some of your questions and concerns. So to you, Dr. Janey, thank you. To the wonderful Brenda Blackmon, who most of us have, you know, the opportunity of watching on television, and she's truly a mega star in my opinion, because I'm a UPN 9 news fan, so love watching her on television, and it's really an honor to have you here. And to Steve Sacco, and Steve, I have to say, he's really the person who has put this event together. He had emailed me way back when last year and said, Aníbal, I think it'd be a great idea for us to put together a forum in the North Ward to invite, you know, our new superintendent at that time, so that he has an opportunity to come out and meet our community. So Steve, thank you. You know, the last 3.5 years that I've been in office, you know, it's really been a pleasure to work with all of our schools here in the North Ward, and my position and my approach is to be, you know, a good partner. And we've set up a successful scholarship program, which over the years, last few years, we've given out over $70,000 here to North Ward students to help support their efforts for higher education. We've worked with various schools on safety issues, you know, as it relates to our relationship with the Newark Police Department. We've made some progress on traffic safety issues, and we also take great pride in supporting your various school events. And we get calls, we receive emails almost weekly about events that are taking place at your schools, and whether we can go ahead and sponsor, you know, lunch for the students and teachers, or we can support those events in a different way. We're always very excited about the opportunity to work with our school leaders and their parents to help support activities that really benefit our children.
Thank you, Councilman Ramos. Now it's time for me to bring one of my new colleagues to the podium. I had the opportunity to work with Mr. Steve Sacco these last couple of months as we put the finishing touches on tonight's event. Interesting man. I enjoyed working with him. Steve is not only a familiar face throughout the First Avenue building, but he is well known in the North Ward. Steve Sacco serves as North Ward District Leader and Community Organizer. He has a unique talent for bringing residents and elected officials together, as well as a flair for writing, and he knows what I'm talking about, and presenting information through various forms of media in order to assure transparency in education and government. Mr. Steve Sacco.
Valerie, and just want to wish a good evening to everyone here tonight, and welcome to tonight's town hall meeting of the Minds, Your Child's Education in Focus. Tonight's guest and moderator knows how important an education is, so much so that she went back to college to finish her degree and set an example for her daughter. Today, Brenda Blackmon is one of the leading Emmy Award-winning journalists in the country's #1 market, the New York market at My9 and Fox 5. Let's take a look at why Brenda is such a powerful and insightful anchor and reporter that has been with My9 News for 20 years now.
Inauguration Day became personal for me even before I arrived in the nation's capital. It started when my Aunt Clara told me the story of my great-great-grandmother Jane. I had to research my family history for a class project. What I found out about Grandma Jane made me cry. She was a slave on a southern plantation. Grandma Jane performed back-breaking field work every day. One day she fell sick and asked the slave master if she could rest from work at the plow. He denied her request. She died at the plow that day. On Inauguration Day, I looked at the National Mall on a cold day in January and imagined for a moment of what this same mall was like when slaves like my Grandma Jane used to be bought and sold here at auction. Then I wondered if there was always a plan when slaves were laying the stones in place to build the Capitol steps. The tears and pain and backbreaking work they must have endured. I wondered if it would have been more bearable if God was whispering in their ears, "You're working on the steps where an African-American man will one day stand and be sworn in as the first president who looks like you and knows and understands your pain. He will take the oath of office to become the 44th president of the United States of America." To think at the time my ancestor wasn't even recognized as an individual, only as property. No human rights, no freedoms. As the great-great-granddaughter of a slave, I was born in the South. I sat on the back of the bus. I sat on the colored side of waiting rooms and cafeterias. And I sat at my first television anchor desk in a television station with a rebel soldier on the front of the building. But on Inauguration Day, I stood up. I stood up for Grandma Jane, who could not. I stood up and watched as Barack Obama made the mountaintop seem closer, with tiny flags flying by the thousands and deafening cheers from more than 1 million people of all walks of life. The leader of the free world, representing freedom for all who went before him, stood up. That's all for today's show. Thank you so much for joining us for this special look back at the inauguration of President Barack Obama. For My9, I'm Brenda Blackmon, and we'll see you next week on New Jersey Now.
Thank you so very much. Good evening, everyone. I am so happy to have the opportunity to be with you for such an important night as you talk about something that is or should be important to all of us, and that is education. Conversations like the one you're going to be having will strengthen relationships between families, the school system, and our entire community. As my mother used to say, education is the one thing that nobody can take away from you. The Newark Public Schools, as you may well know, is the largest school district in the state, with New Jersey servicing approximately 40,000 students in 75 facilities. That alone is an arduous task, and I applaud the work of the Superintendent Janey, and his staff. Councilman Ramos, you have the key role as leading the North Ward community. I congratulate both of you for your work and servicing young people, a few of whom I've gotten a chance to meet tonight. One told me he's a star student and an honor student. He hasn't decided what he's going to do yet with the rest of his life, but I know that he's going to continue to be an honor student in Newark. The theme for tonight's dialogue is Your Child's Education in Focus.